Sri Lanka, an island nation in the Indian Ocean, has a rich archaeological history that reveals significant insights into the prehistoric human populations that once inhabited it. The study of prehistoric human burials in Sri Lanka not only helps understand the burial practices of early human societies, but also sheds light on the development of human culture, social structure, and spiritual belief. From the earliest hominids to the late prehistoric communities, Sri Lanka's burials provide evidence of how human beings adapted to their environment, engaged in social rituals, and evolved through time. Early human settlements in Sri Lanka. The earliest evidence of human presence in Sri Lanka dates back to the Middle Paleolithic period, approximately 125,000 years ago, with the discovery of prehistoric tools and fossil. The island's prehistoric human populations are believed to have been part of the larger wave of human migration that spread from Africa through Southeast Asia to the Indian subcontinent. The most important prehistoric sites in Sri Lanka include Balangada, Fahen Cave, Balanbura Cave, and Batadombalane. These sites have yielded important fossilized remains, along with a variety of artifacts that shed light on the lifeways of early human. The Balangada man, also known as the Balangada culture, who lived around 12,000 years ago, is considered one of the island's earliest known human population. Types of prehistoric burial. The prehistoric burial sites in Sri Lanka reflect various forms of burial practices, ranging from simple inhumations, burials, to more elaborate rituals associated with the dead. These burials provide important clues regarding social organization, beliefs, and cultural practices of early society. Simple inhumation burial. Early human burials from the Paleolithic period often involved simple inhumation, where the deceased was laid to rest in a pit or shallow grave. These graves were sometimes marked with stones or other objects to signify the burial site. For example, at the Balanbura Cave, human remains were found in shallow graves, often accompanied by stone tools and other artifacts, suggesting that the deceased were perhaps members of a hunter-gatherer society. Multiple burial. Archaeological evidence also indicates that multiple burials were common during the late prehistoric period, especially in connection with the Mesolithic and early Neolithic period. These multiple burials may represent family groups or kinship units, possibly indicating early forms of social organization. One of the significant finds of multiple burials comes from the Batadombalane site, where human skeletal remains of several individuals were found buried together, suggesting the possibility of collective burial practices. Cave burial. Caves played an important role in the burial practices of prehistoric Sri Lankans, serving as both shelters and burial sites. The use of caves for burials is attested at sites like Fahen Cave, where human remains, along with artifacts such as beads, tools, and animal bones, were found in close association. This suggests that caves were not only places of habitation, but also sacred sites where people buried their dead. Grave goods. A significant feature of many prehistoric burials in Sri Lanka is the presence of grave goods, such as stone tools, pottery, beads, and other personal items. These grave goods are indicative of the belief in an afterlife, suggesting that the dead were provided with items they would need in the next world. In some burials, the grave goods were placed around the body, while in others, they were buried alongside the deceased in separate pits. These items reflect the technological, economic, and social practices of prehistoric Sri Lankan society. Human remains and mortuary ritual. The study of human skeletal remains from prehistoric burials in Sri Lanka reveals important information about the health, diet, and lifestyle of early human population. Skeletal remains from Batadombalane and other sites show that prehistoric humans in Sri Lanka were largely hunter-gatherers, with a diet consisting mainly of wild animals, fish, and plant material. The bones of these individuals also exhibit signs of physical strain, suggesting that these people engaged in physically demanding activities, such as hunting and foraging. Evolution of burial practices in Sri Lanka. Over time, burial practices in Sri Lanka became more elaborate, reflecting changes in social organization and cultural belief. The transition from the Paleolithic to the Mesolithic and Neolithic periods saw the development of more complex mortuary rituals and the emergence of permanent settlement. Neolithic period and the cultivation of rice. During the Neolithic period, around 3000 BCE, the advent of agriculture marked a significant shift in human society. Early rice cultivation, along with the domestication of animals, led to the establishment of permanent settlement. Burials from this period, especially at sites like Dasamaharama and Anuradhapura, show evidence of more formalized rituals and the use of large burial mounds, or tumuli. This period also saw an increase in the use of pottery, with pottery vessels often included as grave goods. Megalithic burial. By the Iron Age, around 1000 BCE, more elaborate megalithic burials began to appear. These burials often involved the construction of large stone tombs or burial chambers, sometimes marked by standing stones or other stone structures. The presence of grave goods, such as iron tools and ornaments, suggests that these burials were associated with higher social status individuals. Megalithic burial sites in Sri Lanka, like Muneeswaram and Habarana, provide evidence of complex burial rites, including secondary burials where bones were reburied after being exposed or cremated.